Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to really cut through the noise for you.
That's the goal.
Today, we're tackling a big one. The recent decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria. It's had global repercussions, obviously.
Huge. And our whole discussion today, it's built around this really compelling piece of audio.
Right, a recording from a decorated veteran.
Mm.
And our mission really is to unpack his viewpoint. It's deeply personal, but also professional. We want to help you understand the why behind his, well, very strong opinions on this withdrawal.
Yeah. And what makes this source pretty unique, I think, is how direct it is. It's unfiltered.
Not just headlines.
No, exactly. This is someone with, years of military service, multiple deployments, still has connections to guys on active duty.
So you get a real shortcut, kind of, into a very specific, informed perspective, something you might not get from, say, the usual news reports.
Definitely. It's a valuable window.
Okay, so let's get into it. Douglas Dakota, that's the veteran we're hearing from. And straight away, he lays down this marker about non-political bias. He actually says.
What does he say exactly?
He says, I will not have political bias. Matters not what your political stance is. What I care is right over wrong.
Interesting. So for him, it's about looking at it through a professional military lens. Strategy, troop safety, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that seems to be the idea, prioritizing that over, which party is in power. It's kind of a crucial framework for understanding where he's coming from.
And that's important, right? Especially when you're talking about decisions with such, well, sort of human cost involved.
Absolutely.
It helps set up his personal philosophy, which is quite striking.
How so?
Well, he talks about how deeply he wishes American forces could just be home. Like never go to war again, just protect the U.S. from inside the U.S.
The ideal world scenario.
Exactly. He wishes we didn't need these overseas deployments in dangerous places, but then he immediately flips to the harsh reality. He firmly believes these deployments are necessary to help keep the peace, as he puts it, and crucially, to stop bad guys from coming here.
He explicitly mentions 9/11.
Oh, yeah, very explicitly. He fears another 9/11. He says quite bluntly, if we don't fight them over there, we'll be fighting them right here on our land.
Wow.
And he even connects it to divisions within America, race, politics, He says we have enough problems here without inviting external threats too.
Okay, so that's his baseline thinking, his philosophy. How does he connect that specifically to pulling troops out of Syria? What's the number one reason he gives for thinking it's a mistake?
The first big one he jumps on is the public announcement, announcing military plans while your troops are still, in the thick of it, engaged in battle.
That sounds like a major strategic no-no in military circles.
It often is, yeah. And he draws these direct lines to past events. He brings up President Obama's Iraq withdrawal.
Right. What does he say about that?
He calls it a huge disaster. Claims it meant many more U.S. troops had to die, and ultimately we had to send forces back in anyway.
So a costly reversal, in his view.
Definitely. And he also points to Vietnam, describes how after the U.S. left, the North rolled into the South and killed everybody that ever supported America.
So for him, these aren't just old stories, they're warnings, case studies.
Exactly. Case studies about the risks, the real dangers of announcing withdrawals too early or without proper operational security. That's a core belief for many in the military.
Okay, so the announcement itself is a major problem for him. But he doesn't stop there, right? He points to something else happening around the same time.
Yeah, a really critical ripple effect, as you put it, the resignations, high-profile ones.
Two key figures. Who were they again?
Defense Secretary James Mattis, a four-star general, highly respected.
Okay.
And Mr. Brett McGurk. He was the lead U.S. diplomat, the envoy for the global coalition to defeat ISIS.
So central players in that whole effort.
Absolutely central. And Dakota really emphasizes that both of them worked very hard and very tirelessly against ISIS. He notes they spoke highly of the president personally.
Fact.
But, he says, they also clearly wanted to continue where we're at, to keep them on the run, and eventually remove them from the face of the earth.
So their leaving signaled a fundamental disagreement on strategy at the very top.
That's exactly how Dakota sees it. A profound strategic disagreement coming from the people most deeply involved in actually fighting ISIS. A huge red flag for him.
And this ties into his view of the current threat level, doesn't it? He's pretty blunt about that.
Oh, completely unequivocal. He just states it flat out. ISIS is not defeated.
Not just ISIS, right?
Nope. He adds, neither is the Taliban over in Afghanistan. Terrorism is alive and well all over planet Earth.
Which is a stark contrast to some official statements around that time claiming, victory.
A very stark contrast. And it loops right back to his core argument. Fight them over there.
Or we'll fight them here.
Exactly. He believes, and he states this as a fact, that there are sleeper cells of terrorists all across America.
Based on what, does he say?
He mentions law enforcement arrests, planned attacks that were stopped, even what he calls small engagements, particularly on the West Coast.
Wow, that's chilling.
It is. And for him, this justifies the need for continuous engagement overseas. It reinforces his whole worldview on this.
Even understanding the personal cost. Troops being away.
Yeah, he acknowledges that. He wishes they were home, especially for holidays, he says. But then he talks about the bigger picture.
Defeating evil abroad, as he sees it, to keep it from reaching home.
That's the essence of it.
So when you put all this together, the announcement, the resignations, the threat assessment, it really boils down to a message for leadership, doesn't it?
Absolutely. He's very direct. He says, you must listen to those that you put in charge of our military.
The professionals.
Yeah. You must listen to the commanders in the field. You must listen to those that have years and years of experience battling against bad guys. It really sounds like a plea.
A plea for military advice to carry more weight in these decisions.
That's exactly it. And what's really fascinating, I think, is his frustration with what he calls a blanket statement about withdrawal. Just declaring ISIS defeated, especially in Syria, and pulling out.
And this raises that big question for you listening at home. How do leaders balance these things? The political desire, maybe a promise to bring troops home versus the assessments from the ground.
It's the central tension. And Dakota's position is really nuanced here, which is interesting.
How so?
He explicitly says he voted for the president, says he likes him, supports his general aims.
Yeah.
But when it comes to military operations, he strongly, strongly wishes the president would listen more to the experienced military folks.
He even points out an irony there, doesn't he?
He does. He mentions the president had previously criticized the Obama administration for what he saw as similar premature withdrawals. So Dakota sees a contradiction there.
It really highlights that clash, doesn't it, between political goals and, well, military realities on the ground.
Profound tension, yeah.
So this deep dive, looking through this veteran's eyes, it gives us a really clear picture of the arguments against the Syria withdrawal. The danger of announcing plans publicly while troops are still fighting.
Right.
The huge significance he places on those key resignations, Mattis and McGurk.
Very important to his view.
And his stark warning, really, that ISIS and terrorism, they aren't gone. They're still active threats.
Exactly. And this one perspective, it's just one informed voice, but it really underscores that fundamental challenge we talked about.
How leaders weigh things up.
Yeah. How do you balance wanting troops home, which everyone wants, fundamentally, with the strategic advice you're getting, the perceived threats out there in the world?
It's a question that keeps coming up, isn't it? Shaping policy constantly.
It really does. And it demands, careful thought way beyond just one decision or one conflict, something to really consider.